today with Yelta Köm, who is born in Istanbul and is an architect and writer based in Frankfurt, in Istanbul, isn't it?
Yeah, now I'm in Frankfurt.
Okay, between Frankfurt and Istanbul.
Yeah.
And his work focuses most of all on the artistic architectural interventions in public space and also in contemporary urban problems related to communities as well as conflict spaces. Do you want to add something else?
No, I think that's enough. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. So we would like to talk with you today about the Gezi Park movement, Occupy Gezi Park, and all the movement which surrounded the Istanbul occupation. And just to make the situation a little bit clear, if you want to introduce a little bit, I would say historically, the situation about how everything was developed, it would be perfect. And then so we can ask you more precise questions.
All right. Actually, as you know, it's all started on 2012. The Prime Minister Erdogan announced the project, Taksim pedestrianization project, and it was already a top-down progress. And of course, the society, the civil society, wanted to give an answer to it, and then actually they want to transform the old Ottoman Park to a shopping mall, and it's in the Gezi Park, and the Gezi Park is one of the main green spaces, and Istanbul doesn't have a lot of green spaces, and Gezi Park is one of that, and that's why people are reacting it. And then as Herkes için Mimarlık, Architecture for All, which is my collective, which we found in 2012. Actually, at that time, it was really, we were really a young collective, and we are trying to make some festivals against the park, because at that days, people, actually, honestly, also me, we are not so, we are not using the park. We were not using the park a lot, and that's why we would like to organize these picnics, these festivals, to raise the awareness in the society. I mean, in 2013, around June, I said a miracle happened. They started to cut the trees in the park, and it was a really unexpected moment. We were all in the park with all people. Actually, it was, but of course, it was not only for the park. This is also for against the police violence, because the police was so harsh at that time. And then, yeah, I mean, briefly, I could say these ones right now. And then everybody knows the story almost. It was like a catalyst for the Turkish society.
Okay, perfect. Good. So I would like to ask you some things, some questions about the architectural aspects of that occasion, of that situation, and also some questions which are more connected to the social movements, because we would say that the Occupy Gezi Park movement was started with for an architectural reason. I mean, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong. There was a park. They wanted to build a shopping mall, and this was the main reason why people started protesting. And then the situation developed in a bigger social movement, which was connected to the entire city, to the whole population of Istanbul. Talking about architecturally speaking. The first question is that people in architecture as a profession see the outside world as a place that should be put in order, let's say, because despite the precious exceptions, doctrines are communicated as ironclad rules. And thus, the ego boosts, they forget, in this case, the architects, for whom they design, for whom they serve and prevent the others from participating by excluding them. And is, for example, in this case, architecture really these sacred and untouchable things?
Actually, it's not literally, but we want to believe that it's sacred and untouchable. This is also obsession of the architectural practice. I mean, we build our own realities, and this power is a result of building process, and it's an illusion balloon that that the architecture and architects always keep inflate their breath. This is kind of a balloon, and we can fit everything this in this balloon and justify it. I mean, such as in Turkey, the construction of the governments, their eminence through architecture. Someone's crazy decisions about the environment, like Gezi Park, and who lives the spirit of architecture or romantic discussions after the demolished buildings. But I know the best. The quote of architecture decides how people should live and what they should do. And however, this changes every time as people do. And But this kind of methods are favorite hobbies of architects with the small plans relative to their own size. Frankly, I could say today we have the chance to talk about this kind of transcendent experiences, characters, and practices within the illusion or being stripped of their basis. And probably, I mean, the architect appears to be an agent, like an agent this field, and we are also possess the expertise to analyze the changes in architecture, and this role seems to bestow an infinite social responsibility to architects. I mean, today numerous architects who produce their work and group basis emphasize that architecture value has changed concurrent with society, culture, economy, and demography. And I think that nowadays we are more than moderates. That this kind of a negotiation has become the architect's new role.
Okay, perfect. And talking about the architecture which was developed during the occupation with a sort of, I would say, performative architecture as it is defined by Pelintan in an article which read in on the web. We would say that according also to the article, performative architecture can most often be experienced during a state of emergency conditions, and as well as, like in this case, conflict urbanism and instant architecture and radical spatial resistant practices, like it was for Gezi Park or Taksim Square. And the moment of the event takes part in a radical way where the rupture of the system is realized. And in this moment, we would say that is we have a breaking point for the system when it doesn't repeat itself but becomes something else, allowing other possibilities. Do you think that all that movement and all the architecture we were developed in those days, in those months, represented and well, they still represent a new possibility, a new vision, and a new expression of the will of the people, of the volunty of the people, in that case of the Turkish people?
I mean, actually, the question of representation is crucial because, as you said, it's a representation of the new way of not doing architecture, also thinking about architecture and the society. But on the other hand, a re-examination of this question for modern architecture for naturally requires to reconsider the representativity of public space. I mean, for example, in modern architecture, representation of the public is crucial. I mean, dreams of a new life are visualized in common spaces. I mean, conventional understanding of architecture regards architecture as a high art practice, defined as antonym as a mass culture and everyday life. I mean, conventional view of architecture focus on the inner life, on object, autonomous object accessible to objective object. But in this kind of emergency moments, these conventional understandings are changed, and that's why we're trying to do define a new way of architecture, and I mean it's a hard question to answer. It's a difficult question to answer. I mean, yeah, it's as you say, I could say yes. It's a representation of new way of architecture, but
No,
also
I would say that I knew instead of a new kind of architecture, I would say that that kind of architecture was representing a new form of experience. Because in one of the texts you shared with us, we read a very curious and interesting phrase, which was the collective production realized during the Gezi resistance can be defined as the architecture of a certain period. The Gezi Park organized itself and put forward a new form of experience, which the politicians or experts could not dominate or become a part of. Because we know that Istanbul in the last years grew a lot. I mean, it has a very big expansion, economically speaking, and so on. But this event, this evolution, hasn't made it a more democratic state, a more democratic country. Well, it is the contrary in reality. And in this way, when I was saying that kind of architecture was presenting a new kind of more than a new kind of architecture, a new kind of experience, which were representing the will of the people, which in this case exactly the politicians couldn't be part of, and they couldn't dominate this kind of expression, this kind of reality, like it was in during the months of the Gezi Park occupation.
yeah, I mean, Gezi Park is like how could I say? It was like a dream, and people are like to romanticize it. As you said, yes, it was a new form of experience. I mean, for all the people. But uh, when if we want to learn something from there, first we want to face it, because the aura of the romanticism. You're always thinking about, okay, the utopia happened and we were in it, and now go for go go for with their experiences. But on the other hand, it's not like that. I mean, I believe that if we are going to romanticize it, and if we are going to um, exaggerate it, this kind of experience, we couldn't learn anything from that. That's why I mean, yes, it's a new form of experience, but without facing this all the facts, it's very difficult to reach a new point afterwards. Otherwise, it will be always like um, a tale. That's I could say.
Okay, no, yes, you're right. In fact, but another question about what you were saying just now, it was, do we need also? I understand perfectly the concept, your reasoning about the romanticizing architecture and romanticizing this experience, but do you think that do we need to romanticize these movements, these episodes? I mean, it is something that people need, or it is just something wrong that we don't have to do in order to.
Of course, it's not so wrong. We are all humankind and we like to romanticize, but we should be aware of it. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah. No, but because we were reading one of the texts you shared with us, and it was interesting when you were talking about how much do we love praise and sanctification and so on. Like if it was something that people, I would say, need for their beliefs, and so to go on with their practices and to go on to follow something. So this why is I ask you this question about romanticizing these experiences, even though I know perfectly that it is something that we don't have to do as the main aim, as the main objective, romanticizing something to follow our experience. But it was interesting that people has to also believe in something to go on with their volunteer, I would say. And would you, coming back to the architectural part of the Gezi Park, would you like to talk about the collective project Architecture for All?
Yeah, but before that, maybe okay. I'm gonna tell everything.
No, if you want to, if you want to add something else, can you?
No, I would like to talk about a bit more the architecture in Gezi Park. Then I will jump in architecture for all. I mean,
Perfect.
that time, this the architecture in Gezi Park is like architecture without architects, and that's why we were interested in it. And this displayed the kind of potentials that become available, and the source of results that they can provide when a field removed from its professional ring. And in such of periods of crisis, the potential actions of the architects become a critical question. And we were in Gezi Park, and we thought that we always define architecture with architects. But as I said before, Gezi Park was an atmosphere where all paradigms that we are used to be shifted some to something else, and we don't know what is the new definition. Perhaps there will be many more different definitions, and we are trying to creating a collective memory. The collective memory is real important when this kind of powers, like government, like other like others, they are trying to forget everything. And the life cycle of these structures, these contemporary structures, were really short. The life cycle of these structures were really short, and we had to document them. And on the other hand, we believe it's a way of the passive resistance. I mean, it's not a active resistance, but it's a passive resistance to keep the memory. And we keep remembering what happened in Taksim. And in a way, we merge practice and protest by using using architecture as a tool of the tool to critic. But on the other hand, I mean, Gezi Park was a common spaces. Gezi Park was a common space, and I believe that the common spaces with the architecture practice have the potential to transport us to where we kind of find answers. I mean, as a similar breakthrough has been possible at past time and time again, they are equally possible today. The breakthrough, I mean, in the context of Foucault's philosophy, I call that it's an epidemic. It's a new epidemic in our ages, but it will be like via our smartphones in our pockets or with the urban moments. But probably it will begin in our home or in cities like Gezi Park, and the production. Actually, this is a reproduction of the architectural understanding, and it will attempt to re-establish of the architecture in the future. And also for architecture for all, and I mean, we were like around 10 optimistic architects 2012, and we founded Architecture for All. I'm the one of the co-founders. Actually, we founded Architecture for All in order to build a multidisciplinary platform that reimagines the structure of the scope of architecture processes. And Architecture for All is actually it's a non-profit organization based in Istanbul, and actually it provides democratic and the collaborative design process between government representatives, various professionals, and citizens. The organization actually engages with economical, political, and social dynamics of the places where it works, and we aim to create the sustainable communities through the implementation of our designs. And nowadays we are around 80 people from different disciplines, but mostly architects. But also in our collective, we have sociologists, designers, video makers, artists, and other ones. Gezi Park projects were one of our main projects since the beginning, but mostly the other main project of us is revitalizing abandoned rural schools. It's a quite interesting topic because in the Anatolia, in the Turkey, for at least 10 years, because of the transportational education system, we have thousands of empty schools, and this is a huge stock of buildings that are unused. Few of them refunctioned, and we are trying to revalue this stock of buildings to create benefit to their locations. And we are making workshops with the people, with the community in the rural side to revitalize these buildings for the community and refunction for them. Yeah, I could say now we're almost 80 people. We're working with the university students all around Turkey. Now we have four active projects in abandoned rural schools. On the other hand, we are doing uh, also projects in the urban side against the gentrification and urban transformation. 2 years ago, we refunctioned old um, movie hall in Istiklal Street in Istanbul. It's called Beyoğlu Sineması. It was the only movie hall who plays independent movies, but uh, they were an institution again. They were an institution in the urban transformation, and they need some refresh. And we supported them, the design services and the design services in terms of space and in terms of new kind of identity, and so on and so on. That's I could say for Herkes için Mimarlık and Architecture for All.
Perfect. And coming back also to the Gezi Park occupation,
Yeah.
what has remained of that movement, of those of that experience? I mean, can we see a sort of reflection of that movement in our nowadays life, and also talking about politically speaking? I mean, we can see something of that movement nowadays. For example, as we can see in the last 2 days, the movements which was developed in Spain has produced a very strong result in the politically speaking. For example, in Barcelona with the new major, and we can talk not in the same terms, but can we see something similar in according to that movement, or was just something of that year which remained in that experience?
Actually, everyone has had another reason to be in Gezi Park, but I believe that the main reason is to stand against the centralism, and we need decentralized and distributed networks around the country and around the even in the politics. Of course, the reflection is not so clear, but we can feel it. For example, maybe we have elections in 2 weeks in Turkey for the new parliament, and there was a new movement. There is a new party. It's called People's Democratic Party. Actually, this movement is, I could say, this movement carries a kind of a Gezi spirit on it. But on the other hand, I believe that even set up a party, even establish a party is against the Gezi movement. But if you can set up a distributed network or a decentralized organization, it will affect. But we need time. I mean, it's not so. I mean, yesterday I thought about it. It was just happened 2 years ago. It was not a long time. we have still needs more years to understand and to evaluate this experience in our daily life and daily practice, even in the political scene. And the political scene is always so slow, I could say. The changes are so slow.
Okay, and apart from the political aspect, talking about the neighborhood's lives, there's a sort of long-term project for the neighborhood, or people is organized in a particular way, or also the social life hasn't changed so much in after this experience.
Actually, I could say honestly, the awareness of the physical environment, the awareness of the city is raised. I mean, people has more awareness to their physical environment now. I mean, it's not too easy to make a top-down progress as Gezi Park.
No, okay, perfect. Well, we don't have in reality no more questions. I don't know
Okay.
if you want to add something else. Maybe we haven't talked about something that you want to add, or if you want to make some other things more clear. I don't know, or in case for us it's okay.
Okay, actually, I'm checking my notes right now, and
Okay.
I told everything almost.
No, okay, perfect, perfect. So no, it's okay.
All right. Thank you for your
We
invitation.
No, thank you
thank you
for being here with us, for have accepted, and thank you very much for your time,
You're
for
welcome.
the disponibility, and nothing. Have a good day,
All right,
Yelta,
thank you very much.
and
Ciao.
maybe see you soon. Bye.
Yes,
Ciao.
bye.
Ciao.